Hey guys, how you doing? I'm doing okay. Recently, President Trump put out a tweet that, surprise, surprise, re I guess caused some objection by those on the left. Oh, surprise, surprise. I did not see that coming. And this is why I often say that liberals and Democrats have a listening problem, a hearing problem. That when someone speaks, they don't hear everything. They just tune out. They're like, I think they got wax in their ears. But I think, in addition to poor listening skills, Democrats and liberals have poor reading skills. Either that or someone taught them to skim through what they're reading, not to read everything. It's like, and Democrats and liberals are not the only ones with this problem. And I think many Americans just skim through what they're reading, and they don't read everything word for word. They don't. They forgot how to read. I think that's what it is. Maybe everybody's so busy in their lives that they can't stop and smell the roses. They can't stop what they're doing and read thoroughly what they're reading. My mom does this. I will send her a text, and she'll miss some of the things that I wrote. I have a best friend who will read what I write, but miss the important stuff. And just, I don't know, they skim over stuff. But when you skim over what you're reading, you're coming, it's almost as bad as if you're not listening to the whole thing and listening to everything word for word. Because everything that is written is important, because if you skip over certain words or parts of the sentence, you will come away with a different understanding of what you read than if you read it word for word. If you take the time, okay, this is word, period, and just say, this sentence is this, okay, that's one sentence. This is another sentence. I'll start here and read all the way through, and that's the end of that sentence. And you read everything from the capital letter all the way to the period. That's how you read. You don't skim through it. And too many people just skim through what they're reading. And this is the cause of so much misunderstanding in our society, so many arguments and fights, and not disagreements so much, but arguments and fights and misunderstandings, because people don't know how to read. They forgot. Okay, they forgot how to read. And instead, they've adopted the very lazy practice of skimming over what they're reading. And when you skim over what you're reading, you don't get what the other person is trying to convey. It's the written way of listening, basically. Okay, so the writer, whether it's a tweet, whether it's text, whether it's a message, a letter, whatever it is you're reading. Okay, so the writer is the speaker. Okay, think of it that way, right? The writer is the speaker. When I speak, as long as you listen to me word for word and don't kind of tune out and just pick out one word. Max Life used to do that. Don't be crazy. And there are people who do that. They're lazy listeners. They're I don't know what they do. I'm guilty of that sometimes, but I'm always trying to do better in listening, because you really have to listen. And so you have the speaker. This is communication, and I've said this many times. Communication is not an exact science, and it's not perfect. It's not exact. Okay, so but when you listen to what's been said, it's not enough to listen. It's not enough to hear. You have to listen and understand what you heard. And that's why it's important to call it back and say, okay, am I to understand that you said this, this, and this? That's really the way communication is supposed to go. Okay? Did I understand you correctly? Is this what you said? Did I understand you correctly? Let me give it back to you, and you tell me if I understood you correctly. Okay? That's verbal communication. Written communication is similar, because the writer is the speaker and the reader is the listener. But the problem is that when you're reading something that was written, you cannot ask the writer, do I understand you correctly? It's impossible to do that, because the writer isn't there unless you're texting, okay? That you can do with texting, because the writer of the text is there. You're speaking to the writer of the text. So if you're texting somebody, then somebody texts something to you, and you read it, okay? Then you could say, okay, this is what I understood from what you said. Did I understand you correctly? And then the writer can come back and say yes or no. But a tweet is something different, because a tweet is written and left there. So if you're reading a tweet, you cannot ask the writer of the tweet, did I understand you correctly? Because it's like a phone message. You can't, it's there, it's left there. Okay, now, President Trump wrote a tweet, and those on the left skimmed through it, did not read it word for word the way you're supposed to. It was lazy reading, I guess. So what we're going to do now is we're going to look at this tweet and see what he said in the tweet. Okay, now, here's the tweet. In light of the attack from the invisible enemy, Okay. As well as the need to protect the jobs of our great American citizens. I will be signing an executive order to what? To suspend immigration? No. To temporarily suspend immigration. Okay. So, okay. So, this is, okay, because this is what he wrote, and I heard what a couple of Democrats responded. Okay, so in light of the attack of the invisible enemy, and you know, this is something I also want to mention. Okay, and
What's up, young man? How you doing?
okay, okay. Now, I want to bring something up that I brought up some time ago. I'm doing okay. In this video, I'm going to ask one question. And that question is, who says? Who says? And I think that's a great question to ask, because there are so many things that we just accept without question. And it's like, we can't question it, we can't object to it, we can't change it, and we just blindly accept what we're told. Question is, who first said it? Who first said it? And why? And why, after it was first said, was it accepted as though it were gospel truth, as though it were cemented in stone? And that's something I don't understand. How some things, once it's said, is boom, it's accepted without question. Not questioned, not challenged. And there are two things that come to mind. Who says World War III must be a nuclear war? Who says? Where is it written in stone that we can't have World War III that is not nuclear? Like the coronavirus. See, I thought of this video that I did some weeks ago as we're dealing with the coronavirus. And I've been watching everything happening. All the countries are affected. All the numbers of deaths are going up everywhere. How many people died in World War II? How many people died in World War I? How many countries were involved? Okay, we're total annihilation. Where is it written? Why can't we have a World War III, a World War IV, a World War V? I'm not saying we should, because somebody said that, and somebody said this, and I don't know who said it, that World War IV is going to be fought with rocks and sticks. Okay, something along those lines. I'm like, and it's accepted. It's actually accepted. This one idea that World War IV will be fought with sticks and rocks. Oh, really? Have you traveled in Doc Brown's DeLorean into the future and then came back and told us this? Are you a fortune teller? Are you a seer? A psychic? That you know for a bona fide fact that World War IV is going to be fought with sticks and rocks. You are so sure of this that is boom, cemented in all of our thinking that World War III is nuclear annihilation.
Oh, yeah?
I got it, bro. And they told
Why? It's got to that point where now. So when I did this video some time ago, this was before the COVID-19 virus hit us, and I would not even think, see, this is why I left this open when I did this video, okay, that, why must World War III be nuclear annihilation? Why can't it be something else? See, now, what President Trump said was, actually he called himself a war president, which I thought, okay, he's got it. You know, I mean, he's got the idea. He has the idea that I was trying to convey. Okay, that a war, particularly a world war, doesn't have to be with assault weapons, bombs, warheads. You know, I mean, think of what happened in Syria and what that regime, that leader, that regime, did to his citizens. Okay. There have been movies, many movies, about outbreaks that started out as a biological weapon. Okay, now I'm not saying that COVID-19 was intended as a biological weapon. But it's not, because of what happened in Syria, it's not a far jump of the imagination to even consider that this could have started out as a biological weapon. But World War III does not have to be nuclear annihilation. It can be whatever it turns out to be. And in my opinion, we are now in World War III. Right now. Right now. Okay? And to think about what was said during World War II when the Allies invaded France and they were fighting the Germans, and at one point it looked like the Allies were losing and the Axis was winning, and there started the morale was going down, and it looked like there would never be normal life again. And somebody says, well, I believe after the war we will be able to return to a normal life. And at that point it was difficult to perceive of returning to a normal life after the war. So how is what we're going through any different? We're all talking about the new normal, right? We're all talking about the new normal. So why can't we identify what we're going through as World War III. World War. Let's look at that closely, right? World War, where the whole world is at war. Okay, let's take the most simplest of this. World War II. Okay. Was the entire world involved in World War II? Think about it. Was Antarctica involved in it? Was South America involved in it? Was Canada involved in it? Was Australia involved in it? Was Palestine at the time? Africa, was Africa involved? Well, North Africa, yeah. But what about the rest of the continent? What about the Congo? What about India? What about Iran, Iraq, Israel? Well, Palestine then. What about Greece? What about Spain, Portugal, Chile, Peru, Argentina? Were they involved in the war also? Were they under attack? If you think about it, not the entire world was involved in World War II. There were so many countries that were not involved in World War II, and yet we called it World War II. And let's take World War I. Okay, let's stop there. Okay. So, before going any further, so this is my question, right? Why can't this be called World War III? Okay, so Trump calls himself a wartime president, as he should. In the light of the attack from the invisible enemy, as well as the need to protect, the jobs of our great American citizens, I will be signing an executive order to temporarily suspend immigration. Temporarily. That's a very important word, temporarily. Okay. And what were some of the responses? And look what, it was very difficult to find, the exact tweets. But this is what I'm talking about, skipping over words. Xenophobe in chief, Trump blasted over a plan to suspend immigration in the United States. The U.S. President Donald Trump's suspension of immigration, not temporary immigration, neither in the headline nor in the article are they talking about what the suspension is. Temporary. That they conveniently left that word out. I can't bring that tweet back up. And it's a shame. But this is what I'm talking about. How, first of all, xenophobe. Oh my God, xenophobe. Again with xenophobe. Xenophobe.
Solar eclipse is no cause. it'll do it if I play the same part again. It's playing fine.